Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with definitely something different. This game was sent to me by Godot Games, and it is called Among Cultists. Honestly, I have no idea how I ended up on their mailing list, but they sent it to me, so I will take the time to review it. But I don't know, maybe they had a prank going, a guessing game. Let's find the YouTube reviewer who reviews games least like ours and send him a copy and see what he thinks. I don't know. This is a social deduction game. This is what you would get if you put together Among Us and Arkham Horror Lovecraft. All right. So put together those two things and you get this game. Now, I'm not saying the game's, good or bad or anything like that. Just definitely something different from my normal wheelhouse. But like I said, they sent it to me. I have no problem. I will cover it to the best of my abilities. So, like I said, it is a combination of Among Us and Lovecraftian horror. So, a social deduction game. And what I mean by that is that, just in case you don't know, right, this is like the Secret Hitler game, right? Or the One Night Werewolf, the Among Us video game, where you have a selection of people, usually four at a minimum, but generally you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere more people. And you will have one or two or three of those who are the bad guy, the evil, the Secret Hitler, the whoever. Here, it's going to be the cultist. And those people's job is to sabotage, to kill the good guys, to take out the good stuff, right? They want to cause havoc, but they don't want to give themselves away. They want to pretend to be a good guy. And one of the key things about games like that is generally there's always some type of voting mechanic, which of course there is in this game as well. You can get a little token for it, where there's going to be a chance for all the players to talk. And during that time, they will say, no, you're evil. No, you're evil. And you can lie, try to convince the others, or try to confirm your innocence. Maybe you're the good guy and they're accusing you, right? Whatever the case may be. And the funniest thing is when good guys get taken out, like, no, you're the bad one. Let's kick him off the island. He gets kicked off, and what do you know? You find out that he's actually one of the investigators, one of the good guys, and you all made the wrong choice. Someone's lying. Someone's still there, up to no good behind the scenes. And then when the cultists win, when the bad guys win, I think is the funniest because they're able to sneak through. And then you find out at the very end, the loudest one has actually been the bad guy all along, So this game is along those lines. Let me start first with the components. And when it comes to the components of this game, I can admit they spared no expense. They went full Jurassic Park on this. The components are top freaking notch across the board. I mean, the player boards are all the map tiles themselves, double-sided, very nice, thick tiles. Same thing with all the counters, any of the tokens. They're all nice and thick, nice coating on them. I even love some of the extra component pieces like the clock here or the pocket knife that gets passed around because this actually gets used in game. That's really cool. And then even for the players, you have these round wooden discs that are double-sided. You got stickers that you can put on them to signify if the character is alive or dead, because you can keep playing if you are dead in this game as a ghost, which I actually like, because in a lot of those games, once you are killed off, once you're dead, then you don't get to keep playing. Here, you don't have that problem. You still get to play to an extent. Now, obviously, you're curtailed a little bit, but you do get to keep playing. Now, I'm going to skip setup. There's plenty of people who have done videos on this game that show setup. And honestly, I'm going to talk about setup in my review of it. So go check them out. The lovely Becca Scott does a excellent video where she talks about setup. So by all means, go check them for that. I'm giving a very quick highlight review. So we're going to jump from components right into gameplay. When it comes to gameplay, that's either going to be the very good or the very bad for you. And you're like, okay, well, yeah, it's going to be like that for every game. A little different in this case. This game is the English language of board games. And what I mean by that is that the English language is one of the hardest ones to learn as a second language besides Chinese. And it's because there's so many exceptions and bends to the rule in the English language. You know, think about the I before E except after C, and there, and two, and, you know, all that crazy crap with the English language, right? Okay. This game's the same way. And that's why I'm not going over setup, because even though I have spent time going over other people's videos, reading the rulebook more than once, getting just as much into it as I could, I'm still not 100% sure that I could set this game up for gameplay. There's just so much going on with that. When it comes to the number of players, the minimum you can have is 4, but it can go as high as 8. And then anywhere in that range, whether you have 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, everything changes. You know, if you have 6, then there's seer. If you have 7, then there's no seer. If you have this, then it's this. If this, and even when you're setting up your decks of cards for each one of the players with their secret roles, whether they're going to be an investigator, whether they're going to be a cultist, right? All these little cards, they come in their sweet little envelopes that you're going to set up for each player. Each one of those is going to be different, with different numbers of cards, varying numbers of roles, varying numbers of everything, depending on the number of players that are in the game. There is no set, hey, this is how the game is set up. And it's going to change the board state as well. Like I said, the mat tiles are double-sided, and depending on the exact number of players that you have in the game, you might have it set up this way, or this one might be flipped, or this one might be flipped, or this one might be flipped. There's no easy setup to this game. If you've played Secret Hitler, one of the great things about Secret Hitler is you can finish that game, and once you're done, you can shuffle everything back up, deal it back out, and you can be playing again in minutes. You cannot do that in this game. There is no quick setup. It takes a little while. I would say at minimum, it would take half an hour to finish this game and then break and start up a new game, because you'd have to have whoever's running the game pull all the pieces back, set the board back up, reshuffle all the cards that are going to go around for the different rooms that are on the board, get a hand dealt for each player that's going to be there on the board, get their little secret roles all set back up, so it's not going to be quick and easy to switch right after playing the game. And that's one of the things that you want to do with this. Right after you finish the game, you want to jump right back into it. You can't do that here. There's just too much going on. There isn't too many moving parts. And that is something that I think is a very big drawback to that. There's no set, this is how the game goes, right? Heaven forbid you have this for a game night and you set it up for 6 players, and then Billy comes over and now you've got 7. That 6 to 7, that's a big delineation in this game, and roles completely change. The decks for the players completely change depending on if you have that extra person in the game or not. And that's not even touching on the fact that you can have an automa in this game as well, which is great. It's awesome that they have that included, but setup is absolutely not streamlined. You need to watch Becca Scott's video going over the setup. She's doing it really, really well. And even she does make a mistake in there on the setup. And it takes her a while. Just talking through it takes her like 20 minutes to go over it. So this is not an easy game to set up by any means. Touching on that, when we get into the actual gameplay itself, like I said, each player is going to have a hand of cards. And these cards are going to tell you things like whether or not you're alive or dead. Yes, you can start this game dead and you won't know. And that is just, wait, what? That one threw me completely. You can be moving, performing actions, room actions, trying to gain victory points, whatever. You can be one of the investigators, but oops, you were secretly dead the whole time and it doesn't come out until it gets exposed. It's kind of neat, but I don't like it personally. I don't like the fact that I might start off already out of the game, right, so to speak, and all it takes is for that to be exposed for me to get flipped over, and now I'm on my ghost side, and I don't have as many actions or abilities as I used to, and I had no say. There was no murder, there was no stabbing, there was no anything. It just happened. Now, with these games, one of the big things is the fact that the bad guys, the cultists, the Hitlers, the whoever's, have to have certain abilities moving behind the scenes. And for this game, it comes down to these route cards. This is one of the aspects that really showed me that they kind of needed to tweak the rule book a little bit, in that the rule book is written like you understand the game before you're even reading it. You almost have to read it once, watch a video, and then go back and read it again. Because when they were talking about route cards, I'm like, what the hell are they talking about with these route cards? I was finally able to figure it out, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Basically, these route cards tell you a round and then a symbol that goes along with the colors and the rooms that are here on the board, right? So we've got like orange over here, red's over here, green is down here. And what that means is, like, this top line, I can only perform these room actions on the first, fifth, and ninth round of the game. They have that basically set up that way so that the cultists have the ability to cheat that, right? Every player is going to get this route card, but cultists don't have to follow it. Investigators have to follow it. So if they are not in the proper room at the right time, they don't get to perform that specific room action, but a cultist can just say that they're in the right room. Now, that's for the most part, they can get away with that, with the exception of the fact that you can never do the same color twice. So if you ever, like twice in a row, if you ever get caught doing so, then they can go, yeah, he's a cultist, he's cheating. And that's neat. I like that. It gives the cultists the ability to kind of step outside the rules. And then if someone's paying attention, they can go, all right, he's not doing the rules right, which means he has to be one of the bad guys. Now, as you're going around these hallways to the different rooms, you will occasionally run into a situation where you've got two players in the same room. And when that happens, those players are going to have an encounter, and an encounter just means they're going to exchange one of these cards. And it's going to be put in with their pulse deck. Cards either going to say alive or dead. The investigators have a bunch of alive cards when they start the game. The cultists have a handful of dead cards, and they will obviously be passing these out. So what that is signifying is that one of these players is the cultist. They pass the dead card in secret, and then it comes out later on that, they killed that player, and that's one of the victory conditions for the cultists to win. They can hit the end phase where they call out, hey, I've killed enough players. I've killed 3 or 4, whoever number of players, and each player will have to then flip over their pulse deck and show their cards. And if they have one of those dead cards, it does mean that they are dead. And if the required number of investigators, which again is going to vary based on the number of players, are dead, then the cultists win. The investigators are trying to gain things like book tokens. Book tokens you are going to gain from doing room actions, which will be placed down here and gain you a number of victory points. And those victory points will add up, and if they receive required number of victory points, they win. But they only win if the cultists don't guess who the seer is. But that only counts if there's a seer in the game, which is going to vary based on the number of players. And then on top of that, something strange going on. We've got a fisherman. Fisherman will pop out occasionally, and he'll just block off a hallway. And none of the investigators, none of the players can go through that hallway unless they have the knife. If they have the knife, then they can go through that hallway. But if they don't have the knife, then they can't go through that hallway. Who is the fisherman? I don't know. It's never explained. I have no freaking clue who this fisherman is, but evidently he's an asshole and he blocks the hallways occasionally. Not always, but sometimes he'll block the hallways. Then on top of that, there is the portal that can happen down here in the green room. Obviously, the cultists want the portal to happen. The investigators don't. The investigators can stop the portal through the use of books and certain actions, room actions throughout the game. The cultists are obviously going to push to try to have that portal action come through, because then they're bringing about Cthulhu and the end of the world and all other good stuff. All right, so I know I'm rambling on here a little bit, and I'm sure a lot of what I'm saying sounds confusing, and that's because it is. Like I said, this is going to be just a highlight, down and dirty review, and here it is. Ultimately, do I think that Among Cultists is a good game? Yes. But I think it is a good game for a very, very niche set of people. There's only going to be a specific type of player that's going to be into this game, and it is a player who wants something deeper from the social deduction type of gameplay, right? Those games are fun, don't get me wrong. The Secret Hitlers, the Among Us, right? Trying to find out who the bad guy is while the bad guy's trying to secret themselves away. That's really cool, but most of them are very surface level. It's just about lying till you either meet your objective or find out who the bad guy is. But maybe there's a player out there who wants a deeper, more thematic experience. This game can provide that, but this is only going to work for a group of hardcore gamers who are into this type of game. This is not the type of game that you could just take to a random game night with a bunch of friends or neighbors that you're hanging out with. So let's say I gathered together my neighbors and we were going to play some board games. I would not bring this. I would bring Secret Hitler, because that is so much more easy to teach to a new type player or someone who's not really big into board games. For this, you need 5, 6, at least or up players who are really into board games, like the deeper level of board games, and are patient, right? They have to be patient because this game doesn't play all that quickly. There's so many moving parts and setup's going to take a while. If you finish off one game, you're not going to be able to just jump into another game quickly. It is going to take a while to get everything reset back up and doled back out to the players, doing all the secret phase, the night phase, the look, don't look, keep your eyes closed, this person puts a thumb up, that type stuff going on. There's so many moving parts there that change based on the number of players that it's really going to take that deeper player, right? To get into this. Now, am I that type of player? Yeah, absolutely. More than likely, if you're watching this, you're that type of player. But we all have families and friends and stuff like that we wish that would play more games. But most people, they'll play something lighter, right? They'll play that Secret Hitler type game or the werewolf game, because it's not hard, it's very easy to teach, and you can play multiple rounds, have some beers, and have some fun. Those people aren't going to play this, because just trying to explain it to them will cause their eyes to glaze over. I could see myself trying to explain this to my wife, and I guarantee you she would just glaze over and just be done. Like, nope, I don't want to play it, because there's too many moving parts. This is the social deduction game for hardcore gamers. If you have a group big enough who are hardcore gamers, right? The people who are playing board games every week, and you have enough. Keyword, you can play this with 4, but I wouldn't recommend it with 4. It's not enough, right? You really need at least 5 or more to play a game like this. So if you have at least 4 friends or more who are into this type of stuff, yeah, by all means, Among Cultists is great. The components are great. And there are expansions that can take the game to the next level with new maps, new roles, and new professions, like completely change things up. And there's also the ability to even turn yourself into the investigators. You can basically create your own versions of these and your own versions of the player cards themselves. That is awesome. That is so neat that they took it to that level, right? Give the player that level of choice. But that's why I'm saying that it's only going to work for those specific types of players. All right, that is my review for Among Cultists, a awesome, neat game for a very, very specific group of players. Hopefully, one day I will find enough people who would be into this to give it a shot. Because I would love to try this game out. It looks like it is a lot of fun. Maybe when my kids get a little bit older, they'll be willing to give it a shot with me. But the missus, no, she's definitely not going to go for it. This is not Gimpy's gal's cup of tea, I guarantee it. All right, but that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Y'all take care, and I will catch you in the next one.